Hope to see you.
Welcome to the Exeter Planning Board of July 1st, 2021. It's 7 p.m. in the NOAC room. Town office building located at 10 Front Street, Exeter, New Hampshire, to consider the following. First, before we start, I would like to just take a minute to express my appreciation to the board for sticking together to get through Zoom, for the planning staff, for Dave, our town planner, and Barbara, our secretary extraordinaire. She's more than that. She's some other official capacity, but she's great anyway. And
Forcer.
I think that I just very much appreciate this board. I've always have. I won't tell you how many years I've been here, but it's you surround yourself with good people. I've always been able to do that with this board, and for some reason they keep electing me chair. I don't know why, but at any rate, I guess like a right to do it. So let's begin with introductions. I'm Langdon Plummer, and I'm chair of the board. And to my right, please introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Gwen English.
We've been practicing.
I am not chair of the board. Regular member.
Thank you.
Molly Cowan, select board member.
Nancy Belanger, alternate.
Thank you. And
Pete Cameron, clerk.
John?
I'm John Gruder, and I'm in the room with 5 other board members and maybe
And a lot of people in
and
the
a dozen
audience.
people, applicants and audience.
Yeah, and our town planner, Dave Sharples. And Nancy will be acting tonight. Thank you. Okay. We first have the minutes from June 10th to look at. For those of you who don't know, our member Pete Steckler is resigning. He's going to move all the way to Brentwood. So we appreciate everything that he's done, and that's why he's not here this evening. He's an alternate, so we now have another alternate vacancy. So, any comments on the minutes, or I'm willing to accept a motion?
I have
Yes, go
just a thought on line 96.
96.
The sentence is a bit awkward, and I'm wondering if it would be worth changing to wildlife corridors and contiguous green spaces have been protected.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And on line 251, prospective should be perspective. P-E-R-S. Perspective. And that was it. Another good job by Daniel.
Any others?
Lang,
Yes, John.
I don't know, it's been 3 weeks since the meeting, I'm a little confused, but line 199, where you said that the consensus was we didn't need another wetland scientist to look at this. And then there's a motion. Didn't we motion to confirm that that's what our position was? And then there's a motion here to table planning board case. Did we table that?
I don't believe that was the case.
I don't think we voted on it.
You don't think we?
We did
Well, maybe
not,
that's what we talked about it, and then maybe we decided we
I think
didn't
it
have to.
in the discussion, as I recall, a vote was not necessarily needed. And I sensed consensus amongst the board, so I said, I see consensus,
Okay.
and therefore we do not need another soil scientist. If I'm
And
right.
I think we also, at a previous meeting, I think we didn't want to vote on it because we wanted to leave it open in case at some point during our deliberation we
Yes.
wanted,
Decided.
we
Yep.
changed our mind and decided that we wanted to have a wetland scientist.
Correct, yep.
And I think it was appropriate that we finally sugar off on it.
Yes,
I mean, that couldn't just continue to sit out there without some kind of resolution.
well, yes, yeah, and that was our intention of that discussion at that time. Excuse me. Anyone else? Accept a motion to accept the minutes as with
met.
changes as noted.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, okay. I think now
We do
we
not
can
have-
vote
We don't have.
by
to roll
voice.
call. Yeah.
We'll do the roll call votes on cases and things like that, things that are,
That's right.
and if there's a concern or a recall, a voice vote, we'll go to a roll call vote.
You want to
So-
vote on the minutes?
So those, yes, we'll vote on the minutes. So I'm just going to ask those that are in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Abstention? The ayes have it. Excuse me, thank you very much. Okay. Here's our business tonight. The application of Philip Exeter Academy for a minor site plan review for the proposed construction of a grounds storage yard on Larry Lane. The applicant is proposing to construct a new 31,000 square foot gravel storage lot with a 15,000 square foot concrete pad for material storage for PEA projects. Property is located in the R1 Single Family Residential Zoning District and is identified in tax map 94-9 and is planning case number 21.5. And Dave, I would go to you, first ask you if this case is ready to be heard.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's complete for review purposes.
Thank you. Would someone make a motion to hear this case? Is it complete for review purposes?
Mr. Chair, I move that we open Planning Board case number 21-5 the applicant has submitted plans for a minor site plan review for a proposed construction of ground storage on Larry Lane, parcel number 94-19. And it's in the. located in the
94-9.
R1. 90, oh, it has 19 on here, is that?
Oh, really?
It has, yeah.
21-5.
Parcel, parcel, tax
Lot
map
D.
parcel 9419 is the
Okay.
tax map parcel.
Take your word
It's
for it.
in the R1 district.
Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, okay, voice vote. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it. Now, Dave, would you like to begin this for us, please?
Oh, thank you. The applicant submitted for a minor site plan review for the proposed construction of a ground storage yard on Larry Lane. The applicant is proposing to construct a new, this keeps going in and out, doesn't it? I don't know if that's happening on TV, but can everyone in here hear me?
Yeah.
They'll tell me. The applicant is proposing to construct a new 31,000 square foot gravel storage lot with 1,500 square feet concrete pad for material storage for current and future PA projects. The applicant submitted a site plan, supporting documents, and revised plans that was subsequent to a TRC meeting that was held on June 3rd. And an Underwood Engineers Review comment letter that was dated June 10th. The applicant submitted revised plans and a response to all of those comments. And due to the location of the proposed project area within the town's aquifer protection district, the applicant was required to provide a hydrogeological evaluation of the site. The applicant obtained the services of Treslow Resource Consultant LLC, who I believe is here tonight, to do the evaluation, and included their June 10th, 2020 letter where they addressed the concerns and concluded that with proper oversight, it shouldn't have any negative effect on the aquifer. In the event the board decides to take action, I did provide a motion below for your convenience. I will add that the applicant is requesting a waiver from the performance guarantee. That would be because the site plan regulations require you to put up a restoration bond. So if for some reason you abandon the site midway with exposed soils, then the town is able to draw from that security to go out and just stabilize the site. Not construct it, just stabilize it so it doesn't have any erosion issues. So I did provide a waiver motion for your review. I do, if it gets to that point, you're ready to take action, I just have one suggested condition of approval, but I will tell you that at that point.
Okay.
It is a minor site plan.
Dave, I do have one question about, this is an R1 zone, as I read it. Is this use compatible with that zoning?
Building inspector reviewed this, was at the TRC meeting, and determined the use was, he did not indicate that it needed any,
Okay,
zoning approvals.
big sandbox in the backyard. Okay. Okay, yes, floor is yours, sir.
My name is Corey Belden. I'm with
Corey.
Altus Engineering, and have Mark Layton from Phillips Exeter Academy is here, and also Dana Truslow from Truslow Resource Consulting, who prepared the hydrogeologic evaluation for the project. So, Dave gave a pretty good summary of the project. This is a parcel on Larry Lane. It's a 140.5 acre parcel. You can see from the map shown on the screen, quite a large parcel. And in the southern portion of the lot, we're proposing to construct a 31,000 square foot gravel storage area for material storage to support many of the construction activities that take place on Phillips Exeter Academy on their campus. So this area was, this lot is primarily, it is an undeveloped lot. It's a wooded lot with some mixture of uplands and wetlands. This area where the gravel lot will be installed, there's about a 2-acre area that was selectively cleared in 2018. So it'll be constructed within that area. The stumps are still there. The stumps just within the footprint of the gravel lot will be removed. The remaining stumps and area around that will be unmaintained and left to continue to regrow. So we're only focusing on that, on the limits within the gravel lot. The wetlands were mapped in, actually I'll just pass on, actually, if you can just go to the next slide. Thank you, Mark. Yes, thank you. So the approximately 10 acres of the 140 acre lot were surveyed and wetlands mapped back in 2016. This year, just a month ago, Gove Environmental Services went back out and reconfirmed the wetlands boundaries that was brought up at technical review. So they confirmed the wetland delineation for the project. As you also may be aware, in 2018, there was a LOMAR that was prepared for the dam removal on the Exeter River. So the floodplain in this area actually went down approximately 3 feet in elevation. So that was, so there's no floodplain within, I believe it is still on the parcel, but nowhere near the project site. The proposed project, as we said, will be approximately 31,000 square feet. It's 0.5% of the total lot. And as a requirement for the site plan review, we did prepare a drainage analysis for the project. We'll be installing on the eastern side of the lot. The lot was designed to slope grade, high side on the west, on the left, grade to the east. We have a sediment forebay to collect any runoff for pretreatment. We'll then overflow to a level spreader and then the 150-foot undisturbed wetland buffer for treatment for the stormwater runoff. And the analysis did show there's no impacts from pre to post conditions. So there's no increase in runoff as a result of the project. We also prepared a stormwater operations and maintenance manual that was provided with the application. And as David mentioned, there's a waiver request for the performance and maintenance guarantee. I think Phillips Exeter Academy has a standing reputation within the town. They're not going to walk away from a project, so that's one of the reasons that was requested. And lastly, I think I'll pass it over to Dana Truslow, who can talk about the hydrogeologic study that was done for the project.
Thank you.
Yeah, why don't you pull up the report and go to the map, please? Good evening. My name is Dana Truslow. I'm a hydrogeologist and New Hampshire professional geologist based in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And I completed a hydrogeologic evaluation of this area with respect to the proposed storage yard. As you know, the Larry Lane well is close to the storage yard. It's outside the 400-foot sanitary radius. It's beyond the 400-foot sanitary radius. But it is within the wellhead protection area and also within the Town of Exeter Aquifer Protection Overlay Zone. So for that reason, I reviewed the existing information just to get a sense of how the site use could impact the aquifer resources, specifically the Larry Lane well area. This area is mapped as a stratified sand and gravel aquifer. I'm sure you're very familiar with that term. The interesting thing about this site is there's actually a fairly deep clay layer between the ground surface and the zone that's pumped for the water supply well at Larry Lane. So at Larry Lane itself, the well, the depth to clay is about 50 feet below land surface, and then the thickness of sand and gravel that's actually pumped in that well is 50 to 90 feet below land surface. So there's an extensive zone, but it does have that extensive clay, which gives it a good amount of protection from activities at the surface. The Larry Lane well is at the end of Larry Lane, obviously close to the Exeter River. And in addition to that well, there were other wells that were identified either in the New Hampshire Water Well Board listing or from a U.S. Geological Survey report that was completed in 1992. And if you look in table, or the table on page 2, it details all the information about each one of those wells, and you can see that most of those wells have a significant depth of clay as well. So it's not just isolated right around the Exeter River. It's extensive, and it extends all the way to Court Street. So the whole area has a pretty significant clay over the sand and gravel. So there have been a number of measures taken to prevent any infiltration of water that might have contamination associated with it on the storage lot. And there will be some infiltration very slowly through the clay, but because it's clay and or silt, it's going to be a very slow travel time. There's been the stormwater management will funnel the water into a treatment area where sediment will drop out. That'll also help attenuate any nutrients that might have run off with the stormwater. There's also measures that are going to be taken on what can be stored there, and nothing that's included in the list, the prohibited list in the Aquifer Protection Zone will be stored there. And that's not only listed in the report that I did, but it's in the stormwater manual. So it'll be very clear to all the folks that are using that storage area that those materials are not allowed to be stored there. So in particular, no petroleum, fertilizer, herbicide, pesticide, or other hazardous materials. No vehicle repairs or other motorized equipment will be completed at the site. No de-icing chemicals or snow removed from off-site sources will be stored at the site. So that'll protect against chloride, road salt impacts, the hazardous waste impacts. And then the other thing that is, of concern at a storage yard would be if there's things stored there that may leak. So there was a discussion about short-term storage. So there may be some short-term storage there, but there's going to be a spill kit on site, and there's going to be assurance that there's no leakage of those vehicles that are stored there. The other thing that's restricted in the Aquifer Protection Zone is the use of fertilizer. Because this is a fairly unmanicured site, there's going to be very little maintenance required in terms of mowing or so on. Right around the pad, there's going to be some seeding so that there'll be some grasses, but it's not going to be mowed on a regular basis, and it will probably not require fertilizer. But if PEA decides that some fertilizer is going to be used, they'll abide by those requirements in the Aquifer Protection Ordinance. And those are also listed in the Stormwater Management Plan, or the Stormwater Manual, rather. So it should be clear to the users what is and is not allowed. And the other thing that I think is going to be posted is there's going to be a sign that's specific to what can be used and stored at the site. Is that still in the plan? Yes. Okay. So, in summary, I think PEA has done a really good job of assuring that there's going to be no impact to the surface water or underlying gravel and sand resources and the water supply in the area. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
John?
Forgive my ignorance on the water system, but that well services the neighborhood?
It's one of the Town of Exeter water supply wells. And so it probably services a fairly large area. Plus, there's now a water treatment plant there. So water from that well, and I believe one other, is treated there.
It's basically that end of town or something that they're...
Yeah, I think probably best to get the water department to give you that information. But I think it's pretty well integrated throughout the area. But do you have any knowledge of that?
Yeah, it's part of the groundwater treatment plant that's at the end of Larry Lane. So there's a well there, right? And then there's a well at Gilman Park, and then there's another well actually on Academy property on by the stadium. It's called the Stadium Well. So I believe there's three wells that come to that groundwater treatment plant and gets into the water distribution system.
Yeah,
So
I think so.
And when you're digging test holes to find the clay,
Well,
a bunch of them, or?
there were no wells installed for this particular study because I felt there was enough existing information to, justify just using the data that's available. But the well logs that had been submitted either to the state or were included in a New Hampshire Geological Survey or a U.S. Geological Survey report do validate that there's the clay layer is there, and it detailed at what depth all these materials were encountered.
but it covers a significant area.
It does. So if you look at the map I have up there, Exeter River is the very squiggly line there in the middle.
That's the wiggly line.
And then Larry Lane is right in the center of that. Thank you.
Right.
That's more helpful. Okay, here's our squiggly Exeter River flowing this way. And then here's Larry Lane. The Larry Lane well is here.
Right.
The storage area is right here. The other wells that I have listed here are southwest of the Larry Lane well, and they also have that significant depth of clay. So the typical depth of clay here is going to, decrease somewhat going to the southwest, but it's still going to be significant in this area surrounding the storage yard. Does that answer your question?
Well, I'll get the question as to where the wells go from someone else. I get the answer from someone else.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, that well, it sounds like we have 3 or 4 wells, but
Yeah, so
like
here's
it-
the Larry Lane well, and I think the stadium well is right here.
That's the Gilman.
Oh, the Gilman Park
Gilman
well.
Park.
Gilman Park Wells there.
Stadium well's right across the river.
Okay, and stadium
there, yeah.
well's here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these all now, I believe, come to the Larry Lane water treatment plant and go through treatment for mostly metals and then distributed through the system.
okay. But and this isn't, you don't have to, I'll get the answer from the water department. I'm just curious as to what Larry Lane, how far that goes. It doesn't go to the east side of town, but it's at that
Yeah.
neighborhood, south of the academy. One more?
Sure, go ahead.
The sites we said was cleared in 2018,
Yes.
and there's a big pile of loam there now. Is that from the field that they just stored it there?
That's actually from the construction site with a new dorm that we're building.
okay.
That was transported over there, which is the I guess the first intent of this area would be used for that project to temporarily store that loam. That topsoil will disappear, go back to that site. So it's temporarily being stored there, but nothing was disturbed. None of the existing area was disturbed in order to stockpile that.
So it's pretty clear that what's cleared out where it's going to be makes sense. So.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. That's the area that we would like to develop to the gravel storage lot.
Thank you.
Caddy moves a lot of soil here and there around town, when the need arises. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Pete has one, and then I'll...
Pete has a question.
I may have, excuse me, I may have missed this, but is it proposed to monitor this site at all? In other words, will there, once you have everything down there,
So,
will there be PEA folks who occasionally go and see that nothing has gone awry?
Yeah.
Well,
okay, so
I may have missed it. You may
I was
have.
thinking of stormwater monitoring, so we do have an
No, it's just
operation maintenance.
monitoring the
but-
site itself.
I think that's
Yes, of
probably-
course, yeah. We intend to use this. So another reason for this is to store, we have curbing that's left over from projects, we have some brick, and so we definitely will be keeping our eyes on it. It's going to be gated off, so we can prevent others from going in and using it or dumping. So we definitely intend to keep our eyes on it, and with campus safety and with us, we'll make sure that it gets looked at frequently.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, I think that's part of the management plan, too. The overall,
Yeah, I mean, we're part of the management plan, with the stormwater management plan.
Yes, yeah.
We'll make sure that the outfalls are clean and
Yeah.
and that, all the things that we're required to do.
Yeah.
It will be part of our campus operation.
I was more concerned with extra stuff coming in.
Yeah. So we definitely, that's why we'll get it off. We're also
You get
concerned
some
about the
stuff you
stuff
want to-
leaving. And so there's pallets of brick and that sort of thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
now to the fair side of the table.
Sorry, I went in
Gwen?
ahead.
No, you're fine.
No, it's
Should have withdrawn.
You guys are talking tonight. Gwen, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You've done a lot to try to protect our water supplies and with your treatment plan, and it just makes me curious as to what types of materials you suspect could be on site that you're protecting the water from. You've got brick, you've got soil, potentially wood, some mulch maybe, and from the list of things that you've written in your plan, I'm not seeing anything that would cause me to be alarmed. And if I were in your shoes, I would be thinking, well, do I even need to do this? Do I need to? I mean,
Well,
I'm
we're
so
open to
happy.
suggestions,
No,
if
I'm
that's
so
what-
happy that you're doing this,
Yeah.
but it's like,
Yeah.
is there something else that you're thinking about that I'm not aware of?
No. We were just, it's been designed to meet the regulations and what the town, what we expect the town to require. And I think it's Even the concrete pad would be where we'd store the mulch and things that we would want to store temporarily and distribute out on campus. A lot of things, like you saw, the topsoil that's there now is, there's erosion issues there, right? I mean, so then we put the silt socks around that. So I think a lot of the big things will be temporarily during construction projects and then will be removed. And then a lot of things will stay, which will be the brick and the curbing and things like that. The reason for the vehicles was more for us to, if something had to stay temporarily, just to move things around, whether it's a lift or forklift or bulldozer, that was what that is in there for, was to allow temporary use. But it's really just a storage area where we used to keep a lot of things in South Campus before that was redeveloped, and now we don't have that. So we're wanting to be able to still keep it close to campus and instead of having to transport it in continuously. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
I was thinking, gosh, I know mulch sometimes has, they put paint products in mulch to give them color, and I thought, well, are you thinking that could be something that would leach into the soil, or is there something that is in your mind that causes concern, but it's really just,
it's really just trying to capture everything that, that we felt like that was, so, and it was, pretty straightforward as far as it wasn't anything that we thought was above and beyond.
Okay.
So.
Great, thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe when the old storage area was really fairly close to the river. It kind of backed up the river, so this is a better location for the...
Yeah, you're right. Now we have what we use as what we call the turf parking lot. It was right there. It was actually a brush pile, and we'd store things, and we no longer do that there. So, but, yeah.
Molly? Oh, excuse me. You finished, Quinn?
No, what is the big bin that's there?
That's the spill prevention, oil spill prevention kit that's there. The big barrel.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to...
Yeah, there was a bulldozer there for a few days.
Oh, that looks suspicious. What is that?
That's the spill kit.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, Molly?
I don't have any questions.
All right.
Most of mine have been answered. I do have a question about Larry Lane itself. Was the Department of Public Works at your meeting, Dave? To talk about the road, I'm going to assume, I should ask first, the size of trucks going in there to dump in and out. Are we talking heavy dump trucks or? We are. So is there any concern about the road, the wear and tear on the road on Larry Lane itself?
It was reviewed by the
that's what I was asking.
Public Works participated in the TRC process.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's my only question left. Thank you.
Any idea of how much traffic? It's going to really based on as projects come and go, I suspect. But there's not going to be regular traffic on the road.
No, not at all. I think right now we have the dorm project going, so even that it's they've used it to store the topsoil, but there hasn't been any activity for a while. So then that will come back. So we'll see some activity, but if there's not a construction project, it'll just be used by our ground staff, and that would be infrequent. So. And that will just be normal pickup trucks or a box van or something like that.
Okay.
I do have one more question.
Yes, Gwen, another question.
Did I understand that you are going to let the area to the north grow back? Is that your intention?
The area that's
It's
beyond?
cleared, but not
Yes.
part of your pad?
Yeah, that entire section, all of our woodlands are in our natural resources management plan. So including that track, we call it the Gilman track. It's part of the forest management process, and so it will grow back, and then probably 10 years we'll do selective harvesting again.
Okay.
So it's allow it to grow on its own, regenerate on its own.
Okay. Great.
Any questions from the public? Don't have much public here tonight.
Did you check
Do
your
we have-
participants?
Let me see
on
what the screen says. I see nobody on the participation list.
Okay. No, it says 0.
Nope, nobody's there. Okay. Any more questions from the board? Okay. Do you want to proceed with talking about the performance
The waiver.
waiver? Would you like to start?
No.
No? Okay.
No, but won't there have to be the normal justification for that waiver?
Well, we could ask, I don't know, we don't go through the 5 criteria on that, do we, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, you have. but
Okay, yeah.
They had mentioned
It is a
their
waiver.
argument
Yes.
as to, why they are seeking the waiver, but if
All right, let's,
the board
Well,
has
that's
any
satisfactory
specific
to me.
questions.
That was satisfactory to me, but I just wondered whether we need to do anything more than that.
well,
I think the answer is no.
well, have we adequately answered those questions, or shall we go and ask them to respond to each one?
I don't think that's necessary, to be frank with you.
Okay,
I think it's obvious.
okay,
I'll make a motion.
okay.
All right. After reviewing the criteria for granting waivers, I move that the request of Phillips Exeter Academy Planning Board case number 21-5 for a waiver from section 12.1 of the site plan review and subdivision regulations regarding the performance and maintenance guarantee be approved.
Second?
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Then this will be a hand vote, so, John, I'll start with you. How should you vote, please?
Yes.
Yes? Pete?
Yes,
I vote yes.
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 6-0. The motion carries. Are we ready to deal with the second motion?
I do have a couple of suggestions.
Oh, Dave, you had some-
Approval, if that's appropriate?
Excuse me,
No, I
yes.
said one, I had two.
I knew you had to come up with something.
Yeah, I do. The applicant shall address all comments in the TRC letter dated June 10, 2021, and the UEI comment letter dated June 8, 2021, to the satisfaction of the town planner. I have read all their responses, but I'm just putting that in there because I haven't been able, vacations and so forth, circle back with all the members of the TRC and come back that they've all, and UEI, that they've all been satisfied, so I just, that condition, and I will do that. And second, the stormwater management system shall be included in PA's annual reporting requirement, because they already have multiple projects with the annual stormwater reporting requirement on there, and just include these BMPs in that.
Oh. Okay.
2 conditions suggested.
I'm ready for a motion if you'd like. Anyone?
I move that
Nancy?
the request of Phillips Exeter Academy, Planning Board number 21-5, for minor site plan approval be approved with the following conditions as stated by Town Planner Dave Sharpley.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hand vote again. This time I'll start with you, Nancy, please.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Just a minute. What are the conditions when you,
I'll read them again.
yes, please.
1, the applicant shall address all comments in the TRC letter dated June 10th, 2021, and the UEI comment letter dated June 8th, 2021, to the satisfaction of the town planner. Number 2, the stormwater management system shall be included in PA's annual reporting requirement.
Thank you.
And your vote is?
I still have aye.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Okay. Carries. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And ladies. Ladies and gentlemen. Good, we just broke ground. And we're back here and we did something. Exciting.
PA is probably the first case.
All right. Get set in history. All right.
Good night.
Thank you.
We approve.
Next item on the agenda is the application of Nora Energy Corp. for a site plan review of the proposed redevelopment of property located at 158 Epping Road.
That's all right.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The
You have
applicant-
5 things there. Okay, well.
The applicant is proposing a new retail motor fuel outlet, parentheses, convenience store with drive-through and fueling canopy with 6 islands, close parentheses, and a car wash building with vacuum island spaces. Property is located at C3 Epping Road Highway Commercial Zoning District. It is identified as tax map parcel number 47-1-2. This is planning board case number 21-4. And Dave, is the case ready to be discussed, heard,
In my opinion, it is complete for review purposes.
complete for review? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion that we do that?
So moved.
Thank you. And moved and seconded by John and Pete. Thank you. We can do this with a voice vote, so please indicate aye.
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 Nay? Or abstain? Aye also, so that carries. Dave, would you like to kick this off for us,
Sure,
please?
thank you. The applicant submitted an application for site plan review. And the site plan and supporting documents dated May 4th, 2021 were included in your packet. At the time when I wrote the memo, revised plans had not been received addressing the comments. The technical review committee was conducted on May 20th and also reviewed by Underwood engineers. Both of those comment letters were enclosed for your review. Also, the applicant provided a traffic impact and access study dated 4/2021, prepared by Greenman Peterson, Inc., a GPI. Summary of the conclusions is enclosed, and the full report is available on the website. A traffic peer review was conducted by VHB on behalf of the town of the traffic impact and access study, and a copy of their review from dated May 18th is also enclosed. There are no waivers being sought in conjunction with the application. However, the applicant did appear before the Zoning Board of Adjustment at their March 16, 2020 meeting and was granted a special exception for the gasoline indoor service station use, a variance for less than the required front yard setback of 50 feet, and a variance for the setback of the proposed freestanding sign of less than 35 feet from the front setback. And I did provide a copy of the minutes of the ZBA meeting as well. And I anticipate the board will want to conduct a site walk. At the same time, I would encourage the board to accept the application. You already did that. Hold the public hearing, share any initial thoughts that the board may have, and then schedule the site walk. They have not resubmitted, plans yet, revised plans addressing the TRC or UAI comments, or have addressed the traffic impact analysis comments done by VHB. But I talked to them, they fully expect to submit those, but they'd like to present it to you tonight and start the discussion.
I think so, yes. Let's get the ball rolling, or the wheels rolling.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm John Arnold, an attorney at Hinckley Allen. I represent the applicant, Naria Energy. Do a quick intro of the team here tonight so you know who everybody is. If you guys want to raise your hands when I introduce you, then that'd be great. Tom Healy from Naria. Behind me, Chris Tamula from GPI. He's the engineer. Next to him, Heather Monica. She's the traffic engineer. And out at the end, Jim Kimball, who's the architect for the project. So our site plan application tonight is for a gas station, convenience store, car wash at 158 Epping Road. The property is in the C3 zoning district. This is the corner of Continental Drive and Epping Road. Most recently, it was used for a car dealership, Jaguar Exeter, which has been closed for some time. Our proposal in this application is to demolish the existing auto dealership and to build a 5,500 square foot convenience store with a fueling canopy in front and car wash to the rear. As Dave mentioned, we went to the zoning board back in March. We got a special exception for the gasoline station use because gasoline stations anywhere in Exeter require a special exception. The two variances that we got from the zoning board relate to the front yard setback. The first was to waive the landscaping requirement in the front yard, and that's due to primarily the width of the right-of-way in that area. It's very extensive, far beyond the edge of the pavement, so there's a lot of green space there as it is. And the second was to allow the pylon sign to be within the setback. So with that background and context, I'd just like to say that we're excited about this project. We think it'll be great to see a new business come into a vacant site, breathe some new commercial activity, particularly into this part of town. I'm going to turn things over to Chris to walk through the plans in detail and the specifics of our application. But just want to thank you for your time, and we appreciate your review and your feedback, and we're looking forward to working with you all through this process. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Chris Tamula, I'm a project manager with Greenman Peterson, here representing Naria Energy. I'm more old school. I have plans on boards. Where's the best place for camera and everybody to see?
Dave?
Right in front of the chairs, basically.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
If-
I was-
We have plenty of cameras, they should be able to find you.
Yeah,
You see
typically.
'em. This one right there.
Walk you guys.
You have seen the
Can't
plan,
do this with
right?
Zoom. Have to share the screen.
All right, so what I'm going to kind of walk you through the plans, go through the existing additions, sort of the meat and potatoes of the plan set, hand it over to Jim, have him discuss the building, the architecture, and then turn it over to Heather, and she can discuss traffic, driveways, and access. The introduction of the projects has kind of been outlined nicely. Continental Drive. Continental Drive is to the north. Epic Road, Route 27, is located on the right-hand side and to the east. There is the existing Sawbelly Brewing and New England Truck Center located to the south. And then there's an existing wetland system and contractors building and wooded area to the west. As you can see on the plan, as well as on the aerial plan, the existing building is centrally located on the parcel. We're looking at about a 3.8 acre park. Access is via a shared access easement and full curb cut along Epping Road. The full curb cut is approximately 130 feet wide. There is an additional curb cut located along Continental Drive, which aids the rear portion of the site.
We're trying to get your microphone.
No,
Yeah.
check, check. How about, there we go.
There we go.
Much better.
So the entire site where we're looking at is basically from the existing fence line that's located here towards the front. That's really the portion of the development that we're looking to redevelop. Most of that area is paved. Obviously, like I said, the building is here. There's paved parking and driveway aisles all the way around. There's existing tree line located to the north.
Can you point that out on the photograph as well?
Yep, absolutely. So the existing building is here, Continental is here, Evan Road is here. The existing tree line is located along here. The microphone keeps cutting out as well, so.
So is
You're allowed to waste
it
it.
pretty much
Our
the
policy.
lighter covered pavement?
Yeah, that's actually a good representation of what's going on here. The lease line between this parcel and that parcel really runs along this dark colored line here.
Okay.
This
Good.
was recently paved. This is the existing car dealership, but it does give a good depiction.
Third time's a charm, I guess.
All right, we'll try again. Thanks, Vanna. So from a demolition point of view,
Oh, now wait. If you didn't hear me the
Didn't
first
have
time,
these problems with Zoom. I'm sorry.
this is a test.
don't just be loud.
Oh, you're extra.
No, it's because I drive it.
They'll fix it.
Where's the popcorn?
Hearing this one.
Test, test.
Okay.
All right, we're back. So what you're looking at here now is the demolition plan. There's an existing fence line that actually runs along the property line between the two parcels. That's really depicted on the difference in color in pavement between the two lots. The existing lease line for this development, it really is the front portion of the site. It's about a 78,000 square foot portion of land, and we're not touching the rear, approximately 80,000 square feet in the rear of the property. There is, like I said, there's a chain link fence running along the south, and there's also actually a chain link fence running along the western portion. So it really gives a good delineation of where the limits of work are for the development. Everything that you see out there today will be removed. The building, all the pavement, the curb cuts are getting reduced. All the utilities will be disconnected, and we'll try to maintain those same connection points during the proposed development where applicable.
Can I ask you real quick?
Absolutely.
Can you show me where the line, on the west side, where is the west line? Is it right there? Okay.
Yep, there's an existing, you can see barely on the aerial, but there's an existing fence line right here.
Okay.
And then out there today, there's actually a couple of dumpsters in the back. That's really the limits of what's out there.
Right.
So the firewood operation is the other
That's-
side of the fence.
That's in the rear. None of that firewood operation is being touched as part of this. There were some discussions as part of the TRC with regards to when that development was done and whether it needs to be included as part of this development, since it is all one lot, and whether we need to file a conditional use permit, et cetera, et cetera. And just kind of getting into a little history on that. The representative from Nerea, as well as Doug Eastman and Kristen
Murphy.
Murphy.
My apologies. Went out on site, determined based on site photos that work had actually been done back in 2008. So therefore, it's not part of this development. It's not part of a phasing, which also helps us with regards to the permitting for the proposed site, because it does not trigger us into an alteration of terrain permit with regards to the phasing of a project. If that was done, say 5 years ago, we would trip that 100,000 square foot threshold, and we would have to file with AOT. But being as that is not part of it, we do not have to file.
Thank you.
That would have been interesting.
Get the right way.
So what we're proposing here, so here's our proposed site plan. The building is located centrally in the middle of the lot, which is the brown color. The car wash is located in the rear, and the canopy is located in the front. What we are proposing is a 5,500 square foot convenience store with drive-through around the back. We're proposing approximately 4,200 square foot car wash located in the rear, and our canopy is a 6-island canopy with 12 fueling positions. As part of the redevelopment, we are reducing the curb cut, which is shown in green here, from, as I mentioned earlier, approximately 130 feet down to about 44 feet. And then access is through this stippled area here, which is a shared access easement between the two parcels. Underground fuel storage tanks are located in the northeast corner of the property, along with the proposed freestanding sign. We have 22 parking spaces along the front and side of the building. And as part of those 22 parking spaces, we have 2 electronic vehicle charging stations. We have 7 parking spaces, which are associated with the car wash and the vacuum islands, which are essentially what you do is you circulate around the site, you come into the car wash, and then you exit out the site, and those 7 vacuum spaces are really dedicated for the use of the car wash. The stacking for the drive-through, there's a 10-car stack, and there's a 17-car stack for the car wash itself. Dumpster location is located behind the building. We have snow storage and site lighting throughout the site. What this plan represents is a combination of our site plan as well as our landscaping plan overlaid onto just sort of what we call a green and gray plan. So you kind of give an idea of what's going on here with regards to the existing development, the proposed landscaping, and the site overall. In addition to the full access curb cut that we're showing along Route 27, we also have a new curb cut access which does not exist today on Continental Drive. It's a full access in and out, which provides access to the signalized intersection at Route 27 and Continental Drive. From a grading and drainage perspective, we have a pretty standard closed drainage system. The site along the perimeter of the site and the parking areas is surrounded by concrete curbing. All of the on-site stormwater is captured by deep sump hooded catch basins, discharging into First Defense Unit hydrodynamic separators, as well as a jellyfish treatment system, which is located along the southwest of the site. and then connecting into the existing drainage system, which currently exists on site. We have a small bioretention area and an underground stormwater infiltration system to promote groundwater recharge. And overall, we feel that the stormwater management system is far exceeds what's out there today, meets both the town and state requirements, and is perfectly adequate design. As part of the overall site grading, site grades on site range anywhere from 1 to 6%, 6% being in the driveways, 1% sort of the flat areas along the front of the store, as well as the canopy itself. The parking along the front of the building, it's all flush mount, so there's no raised curb, and all the parking will have bollards along the sidewalk. It prevents tripping, and it's really become more the industry standard for gas station developments nowadays. The car wash, convenience store, as well as the canopy all have roof drains. Those are connected into the underground stormwater management system. And overall, there's about 94,000 square feet of land disturbance, which is below the 100,000 square foot threshold for the alteration of terrain. And with all that being said, we have about a 2,000 square foot reduction in impervious coverage on site, so there's more green space on site, which all that added together, we have reductions in the peak rate of runoff as well as volume on site for all the storm events required as part of the town stormwater bylaws. From a utility plan perspective, as I mentioned earlier, what we're trying to do is maintain the existing connections that are out there today. So the existing water line is sort of the outlier. The existing water line actually runs along the driveway in the rear, circulates around and goes to the existing Jaguar dealership. That'll be disconnected, and there'll be a new 4-inch water line going across Continental Drive. The stormwater, the sewer system, there'll be an external grease trap for kitchen waste, as well as a sanitary sewer line. That'll connect into the existing sewer line that runs along Continental Drive. There's an existing gas line along 27. We'll be connecting to that. We have a new transformer pad located here. And the car wash system will have a reclaimed water system, which provides reductions in the amount of water used throughout the day, and less of a load and demand on the public infrastructure. As part of our erosion control plan, we have a standard erosion control plan like you would like to see in any site. We have silt fence barriers along the entire lot perimeter. We have a temporary gravel construction entrance at the new entrance on Continental Drive to minimize any vehicle tracking of dirt onto the roadway system. We have soil stockpiling areas. We have inlet protection in both the existing drainage system on 27 and any of the proposed drainage system on site to make sure that there's no sediment getting into the drainage system and causing any problems downstream. It should be noted that I may not have mentioned in the beginning, the existing dealership has a closed drainage system, which basically circulates down to the back of the property, comes across, and then ultimately goes across 156 Epping Road to an outlet downstream. As part of our design, what we've done is we've mitigated the stormwater runoff to have no increase in runoff, as I mentioned earlier, and based on the TRC comments as well as the UEI comments, we're actually looking right now to have a significant underground stormwater system on site. It kind of flies in the face of what you might think of what's going on there right now. It's basically a 2-acre parcel, which is the lease area, which is all paved. We are reducing impervious coverage on site, but unfortunately the existing system is maybe undersized for that type of development. So we are basically, in our plans that we're working on right now, we're choking back the water to hold it on site, store it, and then slowly trickle it out to the existing stormwater management system. So there's no further burden on the existing system. So there's no need to upgrade the system, larger pipes, et cetera. When that plan is done, and we'll be submitting back to the town very shortly, we'll show that the design calcs meet the requirements that UEI was looking for from a stormwater management perspective.
Quick question, does the water, when the car wash needs to change, that water goes into the sanitary sewer?
It all goes into sanitary sewer, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So now this is our landscaping plan, again, which is overlaid earlier onto the proposed site plan. What we typically do for all developments, especially gas stations, you need visibility to the canopy itself. So putting street trees or anything large in the front of the site minimizes the visibility for customers to be able to come into the site. And obviously from a sales point of view, they want to make sure that customers can see, are the pumps available? Do I need to drive by, et cetera? So all the plantings that were shown in the front of the site between the proposed pavement line and the property line are low-growth plantings, 18 inches tall, flowering daylilies, et cetera, all very low growth. We are proposing 10 new trees scattered throughout the site. We are surrounding the fenced dumpster enclosure with a row of tall arborvitaes. And all the landscape plantings have, again, low-growth plantings, provide a pretty substantial amount of landscaping on site. And what's out there today is really a big sea of pavement. This is a very significant increase in a visual quality for the site. Everything else that's in the grassed area that's not landscaped, it will be loamed and seeded, and there'll be an irrigation system on site to make sure that everything stays in good condition. In addition to making sure that the landscape is in good condition, what I didn't mention that the stormwater management system has an operation maintenance plan as well. So to make sure that during construction, the system is working correctly, after construction, it's working correctly, there's a full stormwater management plan which talks about how often you need to maintain your system, the catch basins, your underground systems, et cetera. It's really a foolproof way to make sure that the system stays in good condition. With that, unless the board has any questions with regards to site plans, I'll turn it over to Jim. He can talk about the architecture, and then Heather can talk about the traffic.
I would say go ahead.
Can I ask a site plan question?
Sure, got a site plan question. Tom.
Looking at the lot, the way it is now, looks like it's a pretty big lot, but you guys have managed to fill it up pretty tight. If I get in line to get a cup of coffee and the line's moving slow, I have an escape. But I don't have the same thing with the car wash.
So with the car wash, what we actually do is we actually have an exit point here. There are 2 lanes here of vehicles. Obviously,
I wouldn't get in that line, but that's fine. That's me.
Sure.
There's 17 cars you said in the stack.
Sure.
And if you got 2 cars behind you and it's moving real slow, there's no way out.
No, duly noted.
How did you?
I'm sorry. Just up front, that there's a bit of a road bed there. Is that just an old road bed that cuts across, and you've eliminated it, right?
Along the front. So along the front of the site, the existing driveway that's out there today, you can see barely along this plan. That's all being removed. It's all going to be loamed and seeded. It'll be loamed and seeded up to our property line. Obviously, we don't want to put any landscaping within the right-of-way for future widenings, et cetera. So that's what that is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other design questions?
I think you were going to ask what I was going to ask.
Well, okay. How do you determine the number of car wash queue in the queue?
So this plan is actually kind of morphed into many different iterations. We had some initial discussions with Dave, and this car wash is actually a little bit different than a lot different than the original layout. The original layout, I think, maybe had 8 to 10 vehicle stacking. In discussing with Dave, he felt that there should be a much more, a larger queue. So that's why we've modified it to provide the additional stacking.
Interesting.
Have you done, I'm sure you've done countless other projects like this, but in looking at other projects, is that more or less the average number of car? I mean, just a 17-car backup just seems like a lot to me, and I don't go to car washes very often, but I look at them when like the one at the mobile station. I don't think I've never seen a queue there. And then there's one on Portsmouth Avenue that, I might see a few in the spring when the cars are all salty, but I don't know.
What the queue does, it provides the ability for a 17-car stack. Obviously, on an optimum day where, maybe it's a nice day in the middle of winter and people want to get their cars washed from getting all the salt, you may have that 17-car stack. On an average day, and Heather is here to talk about traffic, she may be able to answer that as well. I don't anticipate that being a constant 17-car stack consistently all the time.
Mm-hmm. Would it be I don't want to hold this up, as
Go
I know
ahead.
you've got other people to do presentations, but what did the previous iteration look like with the 8 to 10? Just curious.
Yeah, so I believe, and this is going months back, and I'm getting old, so, you know,
Yeah.
my memory's not as good.
We all
I
are.
believe that the car wash was in a different configuration, and that the stack started a little bit further back. So it didn't have essentially all this stacking ability here. Again, I'm going off memory from a plan.
It's okay.
6 months ago
I
or
was
so.
just curious what it might have looked like.
Sure.
Could you just take your finger and go from the driveway? How would I go to get to the car wash?
Yep, so basically, whether you come in Continental or you come in Epping Road, there's a drive aisle here, and then you're accessing the drive aisle here through here, and then ultimately getting around that way.
Either that way or drive through? Okay.
Yep, and they're all the, the aisles are anywhere from 24 to 30 feet wide. Again, industry standard for, aisle widths and lane widths.
Thank you. Other questions at this point? Okay, let's proceed. Sure. Please.
I'll give you the good microphone. Okay. It's good for now.
Oops.
Good evening. My name is Jim Kimball with Phase Zero Design. We're the architects for the project. I'd like to just introduce the building to you. This is the view from Epping Road of the whole development. So I thought it was important to see everything in context, the landscaping, both buildings, and how that would be viewed from Epping Road.
So the signal is right where you're standing?
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. This is Continental Road here, Epping's here, right. So basically what we did with the design approach is we took Noria's prototype design, looked at the guidelines, design guidelines, and site adapted for Exeter. So the building itself has a hip roof and with asphalt shingles, and we put that on there because I know that's a consideration of the town, but it also does give it a better context. And we also put that hip roof on the car wash. And so again, what we're trying to do is keep the scale of the building in the context of the town. The materials that we chose, they're basically fiber cementitious board, Nichiha panels, which is a very good, long-lasting, low-maintenance system, and that's Noria's prototype. So the beige is a stone. Represents a stone, and then at the entrance portal, that's representing siding. So again, we're trying to break that down and trying to work with the town's guidelines there. Also, when we looked at the town's guidelines, one of the comments from the town was to shield the mechanical equipment. And so what's nice about the hip roof, it gives us that ability to create a well in the rear, put all the rooftop equipment in the rear, and shade it a little bit with some railing, and give it access for the folks who need to service the equipment, but keep it out of the eye of the passersby. So that would be on the back of the hip roof. As far as some of the other views of the building, just bring this up for you. Just a little bit closer detail of the building. So one of the things that I know in the town guidelines, you have to have that 5% glazing, and we've met that as well. But what's interesting with the design of the building in Noria, we've done a lot of work with them, and they're very, they have really well-designed, well-maintained facilities. It's something they take a lot of pride in. And so some of the design elements you don't typically see in a typical convenience store, such as the the ground to ceiling glazing on the storefront. And so what they're trying to do is have more visibility into the store. Typically in a C-store, we've done a lot of them in our practice. You have the metal panels at the bottom, and it's looks a little bit less finished, but we're trying to elevate the design here a little bit by having details like that. Other details that we've incorporated to break up the building mass a little bit are some louvers, whether they be horizontal or vertically placed above the storefront. The color palette is typical Nuria design, and we feel that that does work well here, and we've applied all of the same finishes and detail elements and hip roof to the car wash facility. As a matter of fact, we've put a lot of glazing here in the car wash as well. I think I've covered everything. Talking about all the design guidelines, so I can confidently say we've addressed all of the guidelines that the town has in design. So I'll take any questions that the board may have. Sure.
You go first. No, you go.
Okay. I know lots of corporations have specifications that you have to follow regardless of where you are in the country, and I'm just wondering, is this for the most part set in stone? Are some of the features kind of required as part of this corporation's big plan? For example, would you be open to putting in maybe some large planters so that you could have some, I know you've got two areas in front of the building that have plants in them, but could you do something to add some
You're talking
greenery?
about here at this.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of parking.
There's a lot of parking there, right.
And obviously for convenience stores, they like that good
Right.
in and out. And it does, if you're fueling and then you want to pull into the convenience store, it's convenient to do that. So.
Between the bollards and the building itself, there's not much space there, is that correct?
It's just enough room for basic sidewalk,
Yeah.
basically, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And that, the sample on the lower left, that's what's going around the entrance door, is that correct?
Yes. So this is the brown Michiha panel.
Okay.
And that's in the portal here.
Okay,
And then on the car wash, we've addressed the corners with it as well.
okay. And the roof is black, or is it brown? That's black, but is that what that, is that a sample? Is that
Yes,
the
that's the
roofing?
sample.
Yeah. So it's architectural shingles?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Shooter gray. That's going to have black.
I like
half
that
brown.
better than the,
Yeah, depending on the time of day and the sunlight.
Yeah.
Things change.
and this is what is the material
So
in
it's
that?
a
Just
fiber
curious.
cement board. It's Nichi
Oh, it's a cement board.
and it's not cheap to
But it
install,
lasts.
but it definitely lasts a long time, and there's hardly any maintenance to it.
Okay.
So the colors hold, the material holds pretty well. And so this is the stone, and this would be the kind of the board and batten siding kind of effect around the entry portal.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I go?
Any other? Yeah, so John,
Just one thing,
Sure.
I've never heard of Noria Energy. Is it retail under a different name?
This is our brand. This is the name of the
And where
company.
would I see one of your stations around here?
Tom, you want to? It's Tom. Let the expert answer that one.
yeah.
Good evening, and
Hi.
thank you for the question. So we're based out of Massachusetts, but we have a very large presence up in this area, actually. Most of our stores that you'd see around here have the Shell fuel brand. So
The what?
The Shell fuel brand.
Oh,
So
okay.
we
So-
have We have a location in Raymond, we've got a location in Portsmouth, we've got several in Manchester, Concord.
But it has Shell stations, that's why I haven't seen them.
Yes, so, the intent was we would start building our own brand, and we've been doing that with our stores over the past 3 years. We've been branding the stores to Nerea, and now we're at the point where we felt we built the brand value, so we're starting to introduce the Nerea Fuel brand.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? That's good.
No, let's move it.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Keep the site plan up for now, and then I'll flip it over when I talk about the
Got right, it says
My Vanna White tonight here.
top front.
Okay, yeah, I'll just come out this way. This will be easier. All right, so for the record, I'm Heather Monacup with Greenman Peterson, also same company as Chris, and not only did we do the site design for the project, but we also did the traffic. As mentioned earlier, we did prepare a full traffic impact and access study. It was dated April 20th, 2021, submitted to the town. And I'll just go over quickly kind of what was involved in it, and you can ask me any questions. So we looked at existing conditions, 2021. So our study area included the signalized intersection of Epping Road at Continental Drive. We also looked at Epping Road at Brentwood Road and Columbus Avenue, a bit further to the south. And then we looked at our site driveways, the one on Epping Road today, and also the new one on Continental in the future. We used the information from the VHB corridor study. With COVID, any counts that we can use that have somewhat been approved are better than trying to adjust something at this point. So we moved forward with that corridor study, which had March 2020 counts in it. So that kind of was the basis of our traffic study. We did look at collisions, we looked at speeds. We went out to 2030, which was the same year as the corridor study, used their midterm build traffic volumes. When I say midterm, the corridor study involved a bunch of things, but one were some midterm improvements and some developments in the area that were happening, and then some long-range improvements with developments that are a pipe dream right now. So we said, well, we're not going to go use those volumes because we're not sure. So we went with the 2030 midterm volumes. It included an annual growth of 0.5%, and included a bunch of background developments in those numbers. We also looked at planned roadway improvements in the area. They're out there now doing some sidewalks on Epping Road, down Brentwood Road and whatnot. So that was taken into consideration. Obviously, that's in our study area. There's some improvements there at the Brentwood and Columbus going on from the Transportation Alternative Program grant that you got. So we took that into consideration in the future year. Another thing that we included in our future year projections was in the midterm improvements was a two-way left turn lane down Epping Road. That seems to be something that is viable, and so for the 2030 condition, again, out almost 10 years, we had included that in our traffic study. We did not include some of the improvements, although explained in our traffic study. We did not include some of the full build-out stuff, which included some roundabouts and things like that to the south. So we were trying to be realistic in the volumes and roadway conditions in the year 2030. So what I really want to, I guess I should have started with the other plan, but what I really wanted to talk about is the site access. So just looking at the aerial, we are proposing, yep, here's the site. So this is a wide open curb cut today. You can see there's a shared access easement that was shown on the plan. As part of this, and as you can see, so the fence today just like comes along here, right? To get into the Jaguar dealership, if you're coming, I guess this is south, so it's kind of upside down. But anyway, you almost have to hook a U-turn into the site, right? So it's a little bit awkward. So as part of the proposed, and then again, there's no curb cut over here. So now that we've got that perspective, it's a little bit easier. I just flip back over to this. Make sure I've got it right side up. So you can see the U-turn would have brought the site in here. It's very faded on the plan, but that's what that movement would have been. So we said, all right, let's take this wide open curb cut and kind of bring some definition to it. It not only helps define movements into and out of the site so you don't have everyone everywhere, but it, minimizes the conflict points along Epping. It's a wide open curb cuts over here, so if we can bring some definition, we thought that would be better for the site while providing access to both our site and the site to the south. On Continental Drive, that driveway is proposed at the end of the left and right turn lanes out there today. It's about 115 feet back. So let me just look at my notes here for that. Yeah, so we just felt like if it was at the back of the turn lane, it's located in such a way that they can get into the turn lane that they need, but also with the layout of the site, the location of it provides good opportunities to drive into where the pumps are, where the convenience store is, also get over to the car wash. And also, obviously, we are close to a signal, so when that light is red and queues happen, there will be queuing on the site. So we want to make sure that we have area to queue those vehicles. And if we were to move the driveway back, or here, we don't want to be too close to this driveway, it just doesn't work for the on-site circulation. So this was the optimal place to put it for the site while also not being in the turn lane. So it's kind of where we were with the site access. So we did look at site distances, obviously trip generation for the site, right? It's an automobile dealership, not today, but it was in the future. We took credit for that because it was an active site, but we used ITE trip generation numbers, so it's the Institute of Transportation Engineers, and as you can imagine, a site like this generates more traffic than an automobile dealership. So there's definitely going to be more traffic at the site driveways today. Again, another reason to increase the number of driveways to the site. But the gas station convenience store site is really not a destination site. More than half the traffic is kind of on their way to somewhere else. We call it a pass-by trip, right? So sites like this, they like to be on busy roads because they pull traffic from the existing travel stream. They don't bring a lot of new trips to the site. Mm-hmm. Based on the methodology that we used in our traffic study, more than 50% of the traffic is pass-by. So although there's more trips at the driveways for sure, new trips to the area during the AM peak hour equate to 118 new vehicle trips, and during the PM peak hour, 94 vehicle trips. So once and again, that's new trips beyond the site driveways. Once you distribute all that traffic onto the area, we're looking at vehicle increases on the study area, so to the north, to the south, beyond Brentwood Road and out Brentwood Road, of anywhere from 13 to 66 vehicle trips. So it's about one new vehicle trip every 1 to 4.5 minutes, depending on what roadway you are on. We expect more of our traffic to come to and from the north, about 55%, and 45% from the south, based on the traffic volumes out there. We did analyze all of the intersections, minimal impact to the traffic signal, still operates at acceptable levels of service overall, A and B, very little increase in delay or to movements, all volume to capacity ratios, which kind of, not great, but if you will, it's like a percentage of how much the lane and the movements can take are below 1.0. 1.0 would be at capacity, so they're all below that. Same thing at Brentwood, Epping, Brentwood, and Columbus intersection. We add about 4 seconds of delay on any movement as a result of this project. The site driveways, based on the analysis that we've done, shows that movements in and out of the it's a level of service D out of the Epping Road left for the left turn lane, left turn out, and it's a level of service C for the right turn out, and then a level of service B for the right turn in. But traffic flow on Epping Road is fine. for the Continental driveway here, the level of service, there's not a ton of traffic on Continental, obviously much less than Epping, so those levels of service are acceptable. A and B, again, vehicle queuing is just expected to be one vehicle or less, but as I mentioned earlier, you have to take into account that is a traffic signal here, so that when the light is red, there may be a little bit more than one car waiting, but for the amount of traffic coming by the site, there's enough gaps in traffic to get the cars out of that driveway. When we look at the queuing from the traffic signal, particularly on Continental, the average queue does not block that driveway. However, the 20:30 PM queue, as you can imagine, when everyone's leaving Continental, right, PM going home, the 95th percentile queue is expected to block the driveway. And what that means is it's a 90-second cycle length. That's how long it takes every movement to go. So about 2 times during each peak hour that driveway is expected to be blocked. So that's kind of the summary of the traffic study. Because Epping Road, federal funds were used to improve or build it at some point in time, although we don't need an NHDOT driveway permit, we do have to submit to DOT, but we need to submit to the Bureau of Planning and Community Assistance. So we did that on May 6th. I got in touch with them, found out that our project manager is Kevin Russell, and he expects to have comments around July 6th on the project. He usually shares them with the town. He'll probably share them with you before he shares them with me, but we do expect to get those comments soon. In addition to we also had the TRC meeting, as mentioned earlier, on May 20th, so we do have some comments from that. But VHB did prepare a comment letter. It was dated June 2nd. We are in the process of responding to those comments. They had some questions about our trip generation and methodology, so we've looked at that. It actually decreases the new trips to the area with the comments that they made. So we'll be submitting that information. They had some questions about the time periods, whether we should be looking at anything else. And because of the trip generation, should we be looking at more study area or intersections? From the research that we've done right now, we don't feel that will be necessary, but we will respond accordingly to those comments. They said that one of their comments was to redo the analysis without the two-way left turn lane. We will provide that analysis, and that will be fine. They wanted us to provide our site distance calculations. No problem. We will provide that in our response to comments. They had some questions about the truck turns throughout the site. We've already kind of looked at that and massaged that a bit so that we can address their comments. They had some concerns about this area here as you enter Epping Road. We'd love to talk to you about that. We've got some ideas, so that's one definite reason why we're here tonight. They had the same concerns that you guys did about the car wash. Not concerns, but please provide us some information about the queuing for this convenience store and the car wash, so we'll provide that information. It's funny, typically we were showing all these cars so that you knew that it could accommodate, but it seemed to have backfired on us because we're not saying that that's how many cars it will be. We're just trying to ease your concerns that it can accommodate a lot of vehicles on that, spring day right after a snowstorm or something. So we will provide that information. And another thing that was left out of the traffic study was pedestrian accommodations and a write-up about off-street parking, loading, and emergency vehicle access. So we're working through all those comments now. We expect to have nothing that's insurmountable, but we expect to be able to respond to all those comments. So we're really interested to hear your feedback on this so we can move forward and give a nice complete package back to the town.
Questions, John?
Is the curb cut on Continental a given?
I mean, they gotta get access to the site. So
Right.
they have to
I know
provide
it makes the site work, obviously, but does the town have to grant that?
Well, we have to grant a curb cut to provide access. Where it is, can be discussed.
Right. Okay.
Because, you don't want it right next to the intersection.
No, I know. I just concerned. I'll look at it again, but how far back it is, and if it's back far enough.
You're questioning how back far? Back far.
If it's, if it's not gonna,
That's in the traffic, and
Right.
we asked that question as well at the TRC.
Questions?
I have a concern about the one queue, car queuing, leaving that curb cut going onto Continental. Did you say there was only a queue enough for one car?
I said that the analysis says that there's enough gaps in traffic on Continental to only have a one-car queue leaving that driveway based on the analysis that we did. We need to update that based on the VHB comments, what they had for, what they want us to use for trip generation. So that may or may not change.
Okay.
But there's more capacity to queue more than one vehicle, and that was my point, that even if the analysis shows that it's only one vehicle, we have to remember that we are adjacent to a signal, and there's going to be times when there's more than just one car waiting because the light's going to be red and they can't get out unless they get a courtesy gap, which will typically happen on a roadway like this, right? It's like dead-end roadway, businesses, people leaving. So yes, we have to update it, but the analysis is saying that with the volume of traffic on Continental, that vehicles will be able to make their way out into the traffic, into the roadway.
So, okay, I'll just wait for some updates on that before.
it looks like there's probably room for 3 cars.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3.
the site walk will help, I think, and updated information. I'm fine, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any idea in terms of the majority of the traffic where they will be entering and leaving? Or is that be found when it begins to happen?
No, I can tell you that, hold on.
Because I'm concerned about the Continental Drive and that driveway there. I would ask you to look at it again and maybe move it further up the road. You get a tractor trailer truck or there, or when everybody's getting out of work. And what happens to traffic that's trying to enter? I guess that's not a jam, but, it's just, it looks to me like there's potential competition, confusion in that situation.
Right, and just like I said, even though the queue to get out of the site, as we were talking about, it's still saying like one or less vehicle to get into the site as well. So we don't expect that to back up to the traffic signal. Okay, I'm sorry. You wanted to know who was going to use what driveway. So just kind of doing some math here, definitely more people will be using the Epping Road driveway based on the calculations that we've done.
Okay.
And obviously Epping Road carries more traffic, right? So
Yeah, that's the more logical, yes.
I think it just, we show more people using that. There is the left turn lane for the signal carries back to the site driveway, so they're not like waiting in the through lane of traffic to turn left into the site. They've got their own little spot to turn left in. So we think that works out well. Don't get me wrong, people are definitely going to leave the Continental driveway, especially someone just might feel more comfortable saying, I'm going to make a left out at Continental's, or right onto Continental so I can make a left at the light. I mean, that's just human nature for some people.
It's safer.
Yep, exactly, especially during peak periods, right? So during peak periods, people are going to drive different than it is like, I don't know, at say 2 o'clock in the afternoon when you're kind of in between everything and, maybe there's less traffic on Epping, so it's very easy to make a left out, no problem, But again, we look at the peak periods when the traffic's the highest, so we're always looking at the worst case.
And just to add to that, the TRC and VHB has a concern with the left turns onto Epping there. I mean, it's level of service D, and the access management study that we did with the RPC on Epping Road and all, and the corridor study, access management is so important. And if you have a light, steer them to the light, instead of, taking left turns. So we definitely promote a right in and right out on Epping Road.
I guess Dave has definitely voiced his concerns about that at the TRC meeting. Our question is, I understand that VHB wants to restrict the left turns out, and obviously we would love to have full access just because it helps with more maneuverability and whatnot, and everyone always has the choice to go use the Continental driveway if that's what they choose to do. And during peak periods, it might just be easier to use that driveway, so that's fine. But full access in I don't see a problem with that, especially with the left turn lane there. And the other thing that I just question about restricting that to a right in, right out is when that does become a two-way left turn lane out there. I mean, a two-way left turn lane is exactly for those kinds of movements. So we're going to be restricted, but the people right next to us who have the big wide open, like they're not going to have any restrictions. So I guess I just have just a question about that, right? If the long-term improvement is to put a two-way left turn lane out there to facilitate these kinds of movements into and out of driveways, then why would we have to be restricted? But Dave is absolutely correct. We need to respond to that comment. It was in the VHB comment letter, the comments about the driveways just in general. So that's why we really want your feedback on this.
So you are taking in consideration the traffic movement from the brewery there, along with the New England truck business.
Well, that's my point, is that
Yes.
they're all to the south of us, right? So we tried to make our curb cut on Epping kind of separated from theirs more than it is today by putting in that landscaped island.
Yeah, and that makes it safer too. You don't have
right, just to kind of separate the movements. We don't need three people trying to exit the big wide open curb cut and then us trying to exit two at the same time. That island is there to kind of separate us, and obviously we have no control over what they're doing to the south of us. We're not before you to talk about that, but we're trying to help define where people enter and exit our site. So that was the hope on that.
And good mention about the brewing company, because they have outdoor seating and an outdoor fence there that's not shown on these plans. We asked them to put them on the plans, and you'll see that
I'm sorry, sorry.
The fence, there's a fence. We asked about a fence and because I'm out there and when you'll see it on the sidewalk, and
Were they the tables outside? That's what you're talking about.
It should be showing on the plans, because then you kind of come you'll see it. It should be part of the consideration of that location.
Right,
The other thing about the Epping Road driveway as well is that's how our tanker truck gets in the site it pulls in. It must drop fuel on the right side of the tanker truck. It protects the driver and all that. So they unload the fuel on the right side. So I guess we can show that on there. You want to point to it, what the truck does while I explain?
I'm going slideshow.
I think he has a plan too. So that's another reason for the Epping Road driveway. I mean, that's how the truck gets in and out.
So the truck goes over to where the tanks are on the ground.
That's the truck term plan that was submitted, correct? Yeah. So we'll be revising that a little bit to address VHB's comments about some pinch points.
Other questions, comments?
Well, I guess.
Yes.
The letter that went out from VHB, David, was dated June 2, or came into you. Now, that then was given to the applicant for responses. And I think what I've been hearing tonight is that those responses have not yet been fully put together. And that will enable me to better understand how many of these things are, A,
get addressed,
that meaningful, and B, how they are addressed. So that right now I'm in a little bit of a quandary until I can look at the response from the applicant as to what to do here.
And I didn't need to have Jason here tonight, Mr. Floyd, Jason Floyd, and I mean, I would, when the comments are back and so forth, I would invite him to the meeting, so, that would be productive. I wouldn't have been productive tonight, I don't believe.
That's the time he needs to be here.
Yeah. He will,
Okay.
I will invite him.
Another
go ahead.
question I would have is that we know of more things are going to be occurring on Epping Road. both in the relative near term, we believe, and then down a little further into history. So I gather that somewhere all of this is being taken into consideration. In other words, we have, well, there's a significant amount of empty land, if you will, developable. And obviously, as Exeter grows, this becomes more viable. I'm going to assume that eventually all of that's taken into consideration. I don't know whether that's the 2030 study.
So, as I said in my presentation, we don't take into like, for instance, the intersection of Continental at Epping. In your full build-out plans, that's a four-way intersection with a huge development across the street. That is not before the board now. It's not. So we did not take that into account because at this point in time for 2030, it did not seem realistic for us to be looking at it. That's all. I know your town has definitely taken a look at it and what all that could look like, and there's concept plans and everything.
We do know that Gateway is going to produce more traffic, not too far from this particular
When it gets built.
intersection.
Yes, yep.
And that's, I just want to be sure that, in fact, things like that are being considered. And I'm assuming that if I heard correctly, the answer is yes. But not to the extent that you're doing a full
build-out.
Yeah, full build-out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we would, and we'll reach out to David about any other background development, because that was another comment by VHB, just to make sure that we've included everything. We did have some things in there, but we'll double check and make sure that we included everything. But we only need to include something that's before the board or already approved at this time, someone before us. So we don't have to consider a vacant piece of land somewhere else if there's no application.
The board does. We have to think beyond today. And
correct.
Again, I think I've articulated my concern, and we'll wait and see what comes.
I think that's part of the way we look at the comments when right turn, right out, like the right in, right out. If we get to build out and we put a median, because sometimes you put a traffic median in between from the lights and you taper it back, then all of a sudden Maria Energy is upset because we're taking away a left turn. But if we just had that configuration, we could add a median and it wouldn't be affected. So there is some thinking going on. Not that we like the left turns on that major corridor as it is, unlighted, but I mean, you can't avoid it, but I necessarily, we don't want to add them.
We did note, because just like you said, there is future plans, put a median right down that roadway. So we brought that to their attention, that they're well aware that in whatever year it may be that could happen.
Thank you.
I had one question for you, because I don't know if you have it. Well, I'll have you here. And then the TRC was concerned, I think you said the 1Q stacking on, say people are coming from Epping Road down Continental. I know that, one car is not, there's never going to be a queue to get into here back to the lights. But the issue might be, is that's a pretty heavy truck traffic, in and out of
into Continental. Correct.
And they're building 116,000 square foot, well, they're building the foundation for a 116,000 square foot facility at the end of 24 Continental, in addition to all the, Cobham and FW Webb and Unitil and the popcorn place. So I just wonder, you have one car stacked, and then an 18-wheeler comes around that corner and has to stop. Won't that back? I mean, it's not, and they're waiting, and the light's red. That isn't that, like they can't get out.
Yeah.
It has the potential to back out, onto Epping Road. That's what, or is there? I guess is there a slip lane around there?
Is there enough room to bypass the car?
Is there enough room to bypass?
Absolutely. We can definitely,
Okay.
we'll have to look at that and make sure. I don't want to say that answer yes or no. I don't know, how does the town feel about like don't block the boxes type of things on Continental if we were to put something like that in front of the Continental driveway? So it would be behind the left turn lanes, but it would allow access into and out of, as long as people paid attention. So as they're leaving Continental, particularly in the PM, that, you know, if the light was red, you wouldn't stop in front of it.
I gotcha.
There's like
people listen to
MUTCD.
those?
Oh, I'm not going to say 100% of people do, but you know, like it definitely helps, right? It's better than not having it. And there's MUTCD compliant pavement markings that can be put out there that could actually help. That's why I was asking, because I didn't know how the town felt about that kind of stuff.
I'd have to run, it's a good thought. I'd run it by, DPW and so forth.
We don't like it, but I'll bet you that somebody will cut through the station to avoid the signal to get back into downtown and not have to wait for the light to change.
You mean leaving
That's gonna
Continental?
happen.
You think
Yeah.
leaving Continental to just turn right and then shoot right out Epping?
Take
I
a
don't
right
know. I
and the
mean,
next right.
sites like this, with the pumps and stuff, there's a lot going on. So
Oh, I
it
know.
just
It's not
kind of
wise. No,
not
no.
a good cut through
It's like
site, if
we
you will.
try to
but
avoid driving by the hospital,
People will do
but it's
whatever they want.
convenient. Yeah.
So you're right.
Where there's a will.
One other comment, the snow storage,
Oh, yes.
not
No.
much of it.
Yeah, and we have a note on the plan which talks about snow storage. Obviously, we've done a lot tighter sites than this. They're reliant on making sure that the snow is removed from site. If the snow storage areas become overwhelmed, they'll truck the snow off site.
Okay. Any other questions at this point? Well, we should talk about a site walk, but then we also need to determine a date when we tabled a date specific. And let's see, the next meeting on the 15th is really pretty full. We've got two major cases. Then we get into August, and that first meeting is usually, what do they call it, CIP, Capital Improvement Project. So then the second meeting is, what is that date, Dave?
26th
26th.
of August.
Did we have another meeting in July?
July 15th, yeah.
July 15th?
yeah,
Do we have one on the
15th.
29th?
No,
We do not.
No, we do not.
We had no.
no.
We usually take a meeting off in July for the summer, but
Yes.
we did not this time. 2 meetings this month.
Plus, we got the confusion of Zoom stopping us and us meeting tonight instead of last
So
month.
when is the meeting after the 15th of July? August 5th? 12th? No?
It would have been the following Thursday, because, first and third. I mean, second and fourth.
Second and
Second
fourth.
and fourth, so the 12th and the 26th.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 12th is scheduled to be CIP, and it has to be its own night. I mean, all the department heads come present the CIP.
Yeah.
There's really not room, we've never had applications on that night. This one would be first. There's 2 applications that are, going to be on that agenda after, if you table it to then. But then I don't know what's going to happen on the 15th. Those 2 applications, if they get tabled, then where are they going? We're getting to a point where,
We may have to pony up for another meeting sometime.
you may have to.
We've been known to do that.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, if there is any possible way the board would consider a special meeting, my client is sort of up to some timeline crunching for their agreements. So if the board is willing to offer any sort of special meeting, it would be much appreciated. And before we get into any meetings or anything like that, there is another plan that we wanted to sort of discuss with regards to the access points. I'll flip over to the plan, turn it over to Heather, kind of discuss what we're thinking based on sort of some of the comments that VHB had made with regards to access into the site. But we didn't want to muddy the water until we kind of went through all
While we're
this.
thinking about this, go ahead and let's have the whole 9 yards, and we'll.
The whole 9 yards, right? So, do you have a plan? Yeah, show. I guess this is fine, right? Because No, that's it. I forgot that the black is underneath it. So we've been talking a lot about this driveway and what's it gonna be, right in, right out, full access in, right out only, or full access, full egress, right? So one of VHB's comments was, this was a raised island. This is proposed on the site plans that were before you in your package, a raised island here. And there was some concern or questions, I guess, from VHB, like kind of what happens in this area? Why is this island here? Are people going to know what to do? Because as mentioned in the beginning, a fence today goes all the way to here, and we were gonna pull it back to the gate that's out there today that you'll see during your site visit. So we kind of thought about this a little bit more. The access easement is down here, really close to Epping Road. So we were thinking about modifying this driveway, shifting it a little bit as shown in red to try to really more separate the two. This is the table area that Dave was talking about, that there's some tables and stuff set up there. We had proposed just some paint here on the island, but when you get out there, you'll see like they've got tables and roofs and all this stuff out there that we really probably want to separate that a little bit more. So our thought was to pull this raised island a little bit closer and then kind of just angle our site traffic to the driveway a little bit closer, so we don't have like cars entering and exiting and everything through here. So we give a nice wide throat here for the two-lane traffic. They can come in, go this way, through the pumps, come up this way if they need to. But also for the drive-through, for the exit, if they do come out this way, again, it just kind of angles them a little bit towards there. It does mean shifting the driveway a little bit. There is a utility pole here, but we think that will be fine. What it also addresses is this truck turn plan. It keeps them without having to cross the double yellow center line to come in, and we were able to fix some of the pinch points and things that VHB had a comment on. So we think this might be a little bit better, but obviously we want to, if you see something glaringly wrong or whatever, we'd love that input tonight, because we want to try to answer as many comments as we can in this next round.
Could you comment again on the little island right by yes.
This one. So this is proposed on the plans that were before you tonight.
Yes.
We're thinking of eliminating that.
Okay.
So let's eliminate that and then extend this raised island out a little bit. So we give a little bit more separation between
more space in your
between
driveway.
our site and this site as it is today, because we kind of are opening it up and let's all be able to. But with what's going on in the area over here, we don't know if that will be permanent, if they're gonna have like a COVID ending, I don't know. But we just felt like if the fence is going all the way down there today, maybe this makes sense. So we like this better. We think this works better. I think it works good for the trucks, kind of helps angle our people to where they need to be. So that was one of the changes that we were gonna do in our next submission, unless the board had any comments, or Dave. First time you're seeing this too, so.
Can that be vegetated up to a certain point? It can. I love the idea.
Yeah, we've made it wide enough to be 5 feet. As Heather mentioned, so this gate here, this is actually a sliding gate, so the vehicles come in and come out. There is this red line is really where the existing fence line is right now. So we'd be removing the fence but putting a curb. So it's really it's the same pattern, it's the same width. We would be eliminating this striping, which we were originally doing to sort of delineate the drive lane. Obviously this parking is no longer there, like I showed on the aerial. It's all the seating and everything. So the actual width of this driveway is what it is today. It's going to stay the same with this current plan.
On your truck turn plan that you have up, the area that you have designated as the truck turn radius, you've got two, it's hard to describe it, but you've got two different lines at the bottom, and can you explain
it's sort of hard to distinguish.
It looks like that one goes, both of them kind of go into the parking, and then
and that was also one of the points. So when I did my initial site walk late last year, The striping wasn't very visible, it wasn't very apparent. When we did the survey, that's when they actually located it. When we did the truck turn, we anticipated off-peak hours, so if it crossed over those parking spaces and those parking spaces were used for the brewery, we didn't see it being an issue. With the current plan that we're talking about in red, that eliminates that whole concern and the whole truck turning movement. So now the truck is on this side of the property line. It does not impact those lines. So that truck turn plan is part of the original submittal. This truck turn plan eliminates that concern.
Right. So it wasn't shown this way because that's how much the truck needed in order to get around the pumps to get to Epping Road. It was just...
So if you actually look at that plan...
The truck could have done it in a much smaller radius.
Even in that plan, the truck could have made a tighter turn, yes.
Okay.
The way, if you actually look at that plan, you can see where they're starting to turn. They could actually turn a lot further into the site, take that left-hand turn without impacting that. So either way, it does work. We sort of feel that this is sort of a better option at this point, and it resolves a lot of the VHB comments.
And that's where that little island kind of makes it confusing, like should the truck swing around it, should the truck swing one way, so that's why we thought this was
Do the trucks enter and leave from Epping Road?
That is correct.
Okay. He's got a tight turn to get the other end of the pump, around the pumps.
Yeah, so again, the truck turn program that we use, it's a very conservative program. They are able to go underneath the canopy. The canopy's high enough for the truck to work. Every time we do a truck turn plan, it's conservative, it'll work. It's just what the program is.
Yep.
It's very conservative.
Does it not make sense for the trucks to go out onto Continental if they need to take a left?
It's sort of a serpentine movement based on the radius of the truck and the length of the cab.
Right.
It would not be able to make that, absolutely.
So that would be a problem if the left turn is eliminated.
Right.
That's
for your truck.
Not being the traffic expert, Heather's traffic expert. When I was out there the first time, it was in the morning. I was waiting to leave the site. There was constant, there was cars. I just found the gap in the flow and took that left-hand turn. The fact that we have the truck turn plan and the ability to dictate when the truck will come, they could make sure that the truck comes in off-peak hours, so the level of flow along Epping Road does not impact that. Additionally, my thought was, if you have the left-hand turn lane and somebody is trying to take that left out, but somebody else is behind them or trying to get out and they're trying to take a right, by having the left turn lane and the right turn lane, it allows the other person to go by and not have to wait in traffic.
Yep.
But I'm not the traffic engineer as well, so.
Looks like good improvement to me, yep. Simpler. It's still a tough one because of the ability to turn in there. I don't know, what's 200 feet there, you can turn in anywhere there. So there's no control in terms of traffic going in or coming out. It's amazing there's not more accidents
And again, in working with the landlord of 156, who happens to own this parcel as well, that was the whole point of this curb cut, is we want to really reduce that overall curb cut, so it's not a crazy sea of cars coming in and out. He still has a curb cut located here, so if he does have a lot of large vehicles coming in and out, he still has the ability to go in that access if he needs to, but this wide curb cut, it still allows him to access that point as well. So it provides flexibility, but it also reduces a curb cut, which is wide open, 130 feet to about 44 feet. So it's reducing it to almost 100 feet.
Yep.
And it's providing grass landscaped areas.
Good. Okay, have you got, do you need any more from the board before we decide what we're going to do?
I believe we've addressed everything. We have, unless the board wants to grant a conditional approval tonight, we'd be more than willing to take that. But I think other than that, it would be trying to get a site walk scheduled as soon as possible. And again, if the board is willing to grant a special meeting, we would appreciate that.
So, let's come back to the board and see what we can do about that. What's the what's the date, John, on the last Thursday of, it's July now, July.
Yeah,
It'd be the 29th.
it is, the 29th, so that, and then it'll be 2 weeks again.
Or
till the
third
12th.
meeting in August rather than 2, so. But it's about the right time, and there's approximately 2 weeks between meetings.
Yeah, it still keeps you 2 weeks.
So there's some logic there. I don't know if it's going to amount to anything, but
What date was that? I'm sorry.
July 29. So you have, that's 4 weeks
anybody
away.
else comfortable or uncomfortable with the 29th of a... You're looking sideways. There we go.
Yeah, I don't have my calendar. so
Okay.
I don't know, I think.
That is like the 1 week that works for me.
I think I'm fine as long as we do it first thing in the morning.
Well, this is for a night.
We're talking about meeting.
Oh,
this
I
is-
thought we were on the sidewalk. Okay,
No,
for a
we're
meeting,
looking...
yes, no,
we're looking
I'm
at
fine for the meeting.
Date.
Yes, no,
Adjust your
nope, got it.
calendar. Okay.
It saved me a trip down
Okay, right.
from the lake.
And July 29.
Well, same here, so.
And then what about a sidewalk?
Sidewalk,
So the 29th sounds like it's workable?
yeah,
Got it.
and it gives you
If
the
we do that, we should do,
2 week
we
spread.
would move the meeting to the 29th of this month.
Thank
And
you.
we'd want to do a site walk before then, obviously.
Well, you should move the meeting, we're not gonna have one on the 15th?
No.
No, we have a meeting on the 15th.
We got
This
enough
is
on
an
the,
I thought he said move it, I'm sorry.
No, no,
a
no.
lot of the 15th.
No such luck. Going to meet on the 15th.
This is not.
We're not going to get out of this.
No, we can't.
We're adding to our
you could.
responsibility.
Doubt it.
Not the burden, our responsibility. Boy.
8 AM, what day?
Well, I'm repeat. I'd rather not have to chase over from Hillsborough more than I have to, but so I would almost go with maybe the 15th, because that's a Thursday, and I got to come back for Thursday anyway.
Yeah,
That make any
It's
sense,
August,
Pete?
and I'd have to come back.
Oh, well,
July, that's why I'm pushing
Oh.
for July.
okay.
so
15th?
the 15th
15th, why not?
8 o'clock?
8 o'clock?
works for me.
Unless you're able to do it earlier, we'll take it
Like
as soon,
7
whenever
o'clock?
you're available.
I'd rather do it then, so the site walk is fresh in our
Yeah.
thick mind. I'll speak
Good
for
idea.
myself.
8 o'clock.
Can we do like 8:15?
8:15?
I usually come in here, around 8, few minutes of 8, get materials, then go out.
Well, let's
That's
make it
why
8
I'm always like 8:07.
Let's make it 8:30.
8:30
Let's
better?
make it 8:30. It's easier, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
8:30.
8:30?
8:30 on the 15th?
And Mr. Chairman, if I may ask, is there anything that you would like to be shown out there?
I was gonna get to that.
Good, good.
I think if anyone else, location, mark the location of the buildings,
Yeah.
like the corners. I know that might be tough, you got the Jaguar dealer there, but do your best is to, pin the corners, not pin them, grade stake them, spray paint on the, turf paint on the thing, whatever. Curb cuts.
Curb cuts?
Both sides,
Yeah, curb cuts.
where they're coming out on Continental and Epping.
Very important.
I would put the edge of pavement in the front where that's gonna be. I think that's probably give you a good sense of it, but, because you'll know where the car wash is. And if you know where the car wash is, you know where the main building is,
and
you know
then
where the fuel
Yeah.
structure is, you know where the front of the pavement is, you know where the curb cuts. That should do it, give you a good sense of it.
Okay.
Can I?
Anything else the board would
Just a
like
quick
to-
question.
Yes, of course.
Did you have a landscape architect do the plantings?
We did.
I'm not, I looked at the list, I'm not a landscape architect, but we are getting more and more careful about the plants that we put in and trees we put in, and we usually stress that they're native plantings.
Yeah, and
you
we'll
could just make
we'll confirm
sure.
that they're native plantings, salt tolerant, that type of thing for anything near the curb line. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? All right, then.
Oh, lighting.
Lighting?
But
Yep.
that's one.
Supposed to
Lighting
be-
plan. Yeah, do you have, I know a lot of the lights are either downlit probably from the canopy of where the pumps are.
Yeah. You need half the lights you usually put under the canopies, because you don't have to light up the world.
There it is. If there are any that aren't, like on the buildings, I don't know if you want to, I didn't see samples of any, like lamp posts that you might have at the entrance off Continental or going out onto Epping Road.
What are they called? Dark sky
compliant?
Sky compliant, yeah.
The dark sky compliant. Yep. So we have light poles throughout the site.
Of course. Any idea of hours of operation?
Mr. Chairman, that would primarily be driven by demand. We like to keep the option open to run a 24-hour service.
Even for the car wash?
Oh, no, the car wash would be limited in hours. It would open probably 7, 8 in the morning till 8, 9 at night. We would not have the demand for the car wash overnight.
So you could potentially either not have just safety lights if you had to, or turn them off at 10, or just to try to reduce the
Yes.
use of lights back there
Yes,
as much as you can.
at the time the car wash is closed, we could limit the lighting back there.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have the freestanding lights? Do you have a picture of what those would be?
I do not have a picture. We do have the specs on the plan. I can get a picture for the board for the next meeting.
I think on your rendering there was one of the poles.
Jim, do you want to?
Oh, yes.
So that's what we're kind of showing right now.
Better picture down there.
Again, it's a pretty standard light for a gas station, retail motor fuel outlet.
Well, they look tall, don't they?
Yeah. Really tall.
How tall are those as
Need to be
compared to
that tall.
the canopy? They look like they're,
So the poles are 15-foot tall poles on 2-foot bases. The canopy is about 15 feet. So that may be sort of a misrepresentation of the actual
okay.
pole height.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
That's
might
better.
need to put a red blinking light on those for coming airplanes.
Condition of approval.
Okay, I need a motion then to table this motion, table this meeting.
Well, is this going to the 29th?
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock on the 29th
All right, so that is...
of July,
7...
Thursday the 29th. Right here, and Mr. Nowak did a very nice job keeping the room in order for us while we were gone.
So I'll make a motion then to move the application of Nuria Energy Corporation Planning Board case number 21-4 be tabled to 7/29/21 Planning Board meeting, and revised plans documents shall be submitted to the planning office on and before that date, or the application may remain on the table to a future meeting.
Second?
Moved and seconded.
Did you set the time, or
Yes, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock? All right.
Planning Board meeting,
Yep.
Normal time.
yeah.
I'll just ask for voice vote. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Now.
Was there a comment on when the plans need to be submitted? Did I hear that correctly, or was I
Well,
mishearing it?
if the revisions aren't submitted, then it doesn't
Oh,
get
no,
off the
I
table.
thought somebody had said
They-
a
It
date.
says here,
Did.
revised plans documents shall be submitted to the planning office on or before, the date would be the 29th,
Right.
John?
Yes, so the application may remain.
They'll be well before that. Well before that.
Well, if they're not, we don't
Okay.
talk about it.
But-
Absolutely.
Good question, you know?
Great.
We're not
Thank
trying
you
to-
very much. I appreciate your time.
Yep. And we have a consensus on sidewalk
Oh, yes.
The 15th.
on the
15th.
15th at
Would you rather do it
8:30 a.m. at,
Would you rather do it the 29th, Lane? And you said it'll be fresh in your mind, or?
no.
That'd be really fresh.
15th is good.
Can you remember 2 weeks ago?
I think, I'll call it the Jaguar dealership
Yeah.
for lack of clarity.
Plenty
Well,
of
that's
parking.
If you bought a Jaguar, they might still be.
So we're all set. Thank you this evening for coming.
Thank you very
and
much.
Thank you.
We're excited to see this. We'd like to see that we're working together on it.
I just want that corridor used. Yeah.
There'll be a lot of traffic on Epping Road in future years that you and I will love.
No, we won't
Watch
be
it,
doing.
right?
Look, I'll take 10 years.
But they'll be saying, "Boy, that's plenty more." Okay. Master plan discussion, we have anything there tonight?
No?
Field modifications? Dave?
None requested.
Okay. Bond or letters? Anybody looking for money?
Yeah, I approved the reduction of a bond, not a release, just a reduction, for Lindenwood, Cypress Circle. They did the, final paving, they did the landscaping and so forth. They still had a few punch list items left, so we did retain, I think, 20% of the original, plus what's remaining. I think is, it went from, I think it was like 37,000 down to like 13, so we funded 23,000 and change.
Thank you. And did you get this letter from Department of Transportation on June 7th? How they're going to do some re-signing on 101?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
Including
Gave it to you as an
six, seven,
FYI, if
nine.
anyone has concerns, they have a map, it's kind of, it's around exit 9. Well, it's just before exit 9 as you're heading west. It starts just before exit 9 and continues all the way to, almost up to Raymond.
Yep.
We're in that part by exit 9, right where this is,
I don't really quite understand what's wrong with the signage that's there, but they decided they got to change it.
They just ask, it's kind of part of like a NEPA process where that's part of it, that they reach out to the communities and ask if anyone's aware of any historical or environmental issues
Yep,
or any
yep.
type of issues at all with it. And just ask the town if anyone has any comments,
So
provide it to them.
could the signs with that's out on 101, the brown sign that talks about the historical museum, could that be moved to exit 10? So if they come a nice ride into town from exit 10, then 9?
I don't know.
It's just a nice,
Well, Aaron's not here this
nicer
evening.
way to get into town.
Somebody like to make a
Well, why
motion?
don't you respond and ask that and see where it goes?
Would like to make a motion to
Retire?
retire?
Yeah.
Okay, Pete, thank
Consider it
you.
done.
So be it. Thank you very much for coming this evening and joining in on
Thank you.
this exciting event, back in the old hall.
That's a big piece of property and they managed to fill it.
Oh, we just have to vote.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. The meeting will be starting shortly. While we wait, let's learn more